Hi all, welcome to the today's class. Today we are going to see what is a variable, data types, and naming convention, and we'll be introducing OOPS as well. Okay, what is abstraction? What is the inheritance? What is a polymorphism? What is the encapsulation? So we'll be seeing them: abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation. These are the main or four pillars of. These are the four pillars of OOPS. Okay, if any language is claiming that they are oops language, they should support these four concepts. Okay, these are like rules. They have to follow these four. If they're not following these four rules, we cannot say them they are object oriented programming language. Okay, we will look at them in detail, but let's try to understand what is a variable, and what you know and what is the data types is supporting by Java, and what is a constructor, what is a method, so what is a class and what is object. We'll try to understand them. Clear, guys? Yeah, let's start. So we have seen yesterday what is a variable and what type of variables are there. As I said, a variable is a name of reserved area allocated in the memory, right? See, let's say you are storing some value in the name. You are storing some name as a Hadoop that has to be stored in the memory. Fine, it is stored in the memory, but it has to be referred by someone, right? If it didn't refer by someone, how we can get them? We cannot get them, right? Variable. Let's say I have a name. I'm saying that name equal to Hadoop. This Hadoop is some constant value. It will store in the memory. It will store in the memory. When I store in the memory, let's say somewhere it has stored like this. We have to refer this name, right? We have to refer this name. Who is referring that? Someone has to refer. That is our variable. That is our variable. Name is referring Hadoop. If tomorrow or after a few lines of code, if someone is changed to Hadoop to Java, again it will be referred by our again it will be referring by our variable only, right? If someone changed, what will happen? The location will be changed and the memory will be allocated for Java, right? Understand, guys? Variable is a reserved name for the where you have reserved name for where is I can say a variable is a reference name for the memory allocation. Clear, guys, about the variable? And we have different kind of variables. We have different kind of variables. Depends on their scope. Depends on their scope. The variable has been divided into three categories. Ideally, yesterday we have seen four categories, and other one is comes under the same category. We will see. We will look at them in detail. Okay. So variable name is a reserved area allocated in the memory. Clear, right? So let's say I have say int data 50. This 50 will be stored into the memory, and this 50 will be referred by data. And what type of data it is? Integer type of data. Okay, the data is a variable name. And how many type of variables are there? There are different type of variables, which are three type of variables, like local variable, instance variable, and static variable. Okay, as you see yesterday's program, we have seen where and all the different kind of variables will come. See, the variable scope within the method, it is not outside the method. That variable, we call it as a local variable. Okay, if the variable scope, the value is accessible or the variable name is accessible within the method, that variable called as a local variable. And what is an instance variable? A variable which is declared outside the method and inside the class. A variable which is declared inside the method, inside the class and outside the method, and that should not be static, and that should not have a static modifier. Those are called instance variables or a global variables, and that can be normal variables or that can be referenced variable. Then what is other type of variable? Static variable. The static variable is a variable which modifier is a static, and the static variable can be accessed anywhere in the class without object. Without object. We will see the static variable detailedly in the coming slides. I mean coming classes. Clear about the variables? Are you guys clear about the variables? It's a very pretty simple. Okay, if you understand the variable, different type of variables, so it's very easy to write the different kind of programs. Okay, let's go. Before any language we learn, when we start learning any language, we should know what are the data types available in that language. Otherwise we may not be able to know write a program. Why? Because if you don't know what type of variable it will support, what type of data it will support, so we cannot handle, right? So for that we will be looking at the data types, different kind of data types. If you take, most of the language will support primitive data type and non-primitive data type. What is a primitive data type? The data type which is already defined and which is handled like integer type of variables, float type of variables, right? Which are not, those are not objects, those are like just a variable. Okay. And non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types, when it comes to the, if you see, if you remember the C and C++ days, struct, union, right, class, string, arrays, these are the non-primitive data types. If you see this diagram, we have a two type of data types: primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Primitive data types are like int, float, double, right, char. These are the primitive data types. If you take in the primitive data types also numeric or non-numeric. Non-numeric is boolean. The boolean will represent like true or false. The boolean says true or false. It will support only two values. One is a true, another one is false. And when it comes to the numeric, inside the numeric also we have a different type of numeric values. When you go with integer, it will support non-decimal values. When you go with a float, it will support a decimal value. For the decimal value, we have a float and double. For the decimal values, float and double. Float is like 10.00, 100.01 sorry, 100.01, and double is like, it's a big number. Okay, it will support 4 bytes and it will support 8 bytes. We'll see them. We'll see them this in detail. Integer. And integer has a short int, long int, and normal int. So it depends on the size, they depends on the capacity they can hold. We have divided into different categories. I mean different names we have given that. So byte, it will take a very less amount of memory, and short, it will also take less amount of memory. Int, it will take some more than short, and long, it will take bit more than long. Sorry, int. And when it's come to character, actually why we have kept it under the numeric, and even these characters, even these characters will ASCII, internally you can convert into ASCII. At the ASCII you can convert into the characters. So actually it is not comes under the numeric, Okay, it is comes under the characters or alphabet. Okay, let's go ahead and see the memory allocations for each data type and see the default value for them. Okay, if you see boolean, it will support, as I said, true or false, but by default, if you didn't define any value, by default it will support a false. By default it is a false. And what is the size of memory it occupies? 1 bit. The bit is 0 or 1. 1 is true, 0 is false. Okay, and other data type is char. It will take single character. It will take single character, and the default value is /u001. This is some kind of unique code, so we don't need to remember them. And how much space it will take? It will take 2 bytes. 2 bytes, not the bit. It will take 2 bytes of space. When you take a byte, which is a numeric type, the default value is 0. If you didn't define any value, it will take 0 by default. And how much space it's occupying? 1 byte. And suppose you have a requirement where you don't want to store a big number. It's a numeric type, but you don't want to store a big number. It is a small number. So instead of going for int or long, we can go with a byte where it can store a small number. When you define a big uh, big data type or like long for the small number to store 100, if you define a long, what will happen? It will occupy that much memory for that. It will occupy that much memory for that variable, right? Are you guys able to follow me? If you are not able to follow, please let me know. Okay, if you are not able to follow, if you are not understanding something, please let me know. I can stop then and there. I can try to answer you. Okay, what is a byte? Byte is also numeric type where it will occupy only 1 byte of memory, and the default value is 0. And you have a short. You have a short, like say there is a bit bigger memory, bit bigger value which cannot fit into the byte. You can go with a short, and it will by the default value also 0. And default value is 0, and it will occupy 2 bytes of memory. And the same way int, if you define int I and you didn't specify any value, by default it will take 0, and it will occupy 4 bytes. And long, it will occupy 8 bytes, and the default value is 0L. The 0L represent long value. The float 0.0f, it will occupy 4 bytes, which is float is decimal value. Float is for decimal value, and double is for the more bigger value in the float. Clear about the data types? This is very much important. So to understand the data types, so where and all will declare the data types while we are creating a variable. While we are creating a variable, we should use a data type. Without data types, we cannot write any program. Without data type, we cannot write any program. That can be a primitive data type, or that can be user defined data type. If you're writing like arrays or string, or if you're writing like your own class, or if you're writing your employee class, it's also employee type. It's also employee data type, but it is not a primitive, but it is a user defined, right? Without data types, we cannot write any program. We should tell, right? So if you're taking something, like if you're storing some value, what type of value it is. To define that type of value is a data type. What's the data you're going to store? That type of the data it is. I hope you guys are clear about the data types. Let's move to object. Yesterday we have seen what is object, and we have seen what is object yesterday in the detail, and just also recap. So object is a What is an object? An entity that has a state, behavior, and identity. Like you take your bike, you take your pen, you take your car, you take your laptop, or you take your computer, or you take your chair, anything. So, if you take a pen has a state like what is the name of the pen, and is what is the color of the pen, and what is the type of the pen. That is a state. And if you take a behavior, pen is meant for writing. So writing is a behavior, and behavior is nothing but in when it comes to the Java terminologies, we represent data variables. Like variables will say state. Whatever the variables we have seen, whatever the variables we have seen here, let's see, this name, id are called as the states or static. These are called as states. The variables, whatever the variables you declare in the class, will call as a state, and whatever the methods you declare, that is a behavior. That is a behavior. Let's take a small example. I'll try to explain with a small example. Object demo, and I'm creating a package com dot java classes dot object. I want to take a main method, and I want to take a comments and finish. Guys, how to create a class? How to create a class? I think everyone's setup is ready. I think it's a good to go with the Eclipse tool. Once you start your Eclipse, it will show empty screen here, and right click there, new, new Java project. When you take a Java project, it will ask for the your project name, and you will be having your environment. By default, whatever the environment you are using in your system, it will take that. Or if you want to specify, you can go ahead and specify here. A specific environment you can select. Okay, and you just enter the name of the project, and you say next. When you say next, here you just go back. I'll show you one more thing here. Here, the project layout. Create a separate folder for the source and class files. See, for each Java file will contain a class file. When you compile it, it will create a class file. We'll see them in detail. That is a compilation part. We'll come to later point of time. So for each Java file, we'll be having one class file. Each class, I can say, not only Java file, one file may contains multiple class files, or classes, and each class will create one class file. That it is saying that you want to separate it. Your class file and source files, you want to separate it. That is the reason we have selected that option. Here, all your classes will go into bin folder. By default, all the classes will go into bin folder. At the time, you don't need to worry about it. You just click on finish. It will get create a Java classes project. So how to add a new class here? Expand it. Go to src. Src is the source. Right click, new. First you create a package. What is a package? Package is the folder structure. What is a folder? Like you want to uh, see, we'll be storing the movies, songs, and uh, different kind of data into our computers, right? What we will do, let's say under the movies, we will be storing English movies, and we will see Hindi movies and Telugu movies or Tamil or Hindi. So whatever the movies will store in the folders, right? We'll be separating them. Why we are separating? For easy access, for easy access, for readability, right? The same way we have a packages in Java. It's just like a folder. When I say com dot, the com will be one folder will be created, and say another uh, sample classes. When I say sample, and it will create one more folder in the com and classes. Finish. What it will create? It will create a folder structure such a way that com under that sample, under that classes. Okay, the folder will be, or the package will be created like this, and right click on top of it, new class, create a class, and here you just give your class name, object demo, and you can select your main, you start your main method and your comments. Why we have to have a main method? This is the entry point to your program. Main method is the entry point to your program, right? So I'm going to give a demonstration for this. String name, I'm just hard coding for time being, we can change later. Int id, I'll give say 100, and name I'll say anything, you can say Hadoop or whatever it is. Okay, and these are the states, these are the state, and I'll be writing a method. I'll be writing a method, and here what I'm trying to say, I'm just displaying it. See, I'm not doing much, I'm not doing much business logic here. I'm just taking one state and behavior. This is behavior. Okay, and here just print them namespace, or also you can say name colon. Just say name plus give some space and id, say id. Now you have to create an object. How we will create an object? We will create an object with a class name. We'll use the class name. Whenever we want to create an object, we have to use a class name. Without using a class name, we cannot create object. Okay, equal to new. What it will represent? This is constructor. We'll see them in detail. And this is the class name, and this is your object name. Okay, you can say it is object, or you can say it is a obj1. You can say any name. Okay, and when you want to access your state and behavior, what do you have to do? obj1 dot, we have to use a dot operator to access a members or member functions. Let's assume I'm accessing my display method. Let's assume later both are same. Later I want to check obj name. You have to say obj1 dot name, because if you want to access a class level variables or instance variables, we should use an object. Without object, if you cannot access here, if I try to access a name, if I try to access name here, it will say that cannot be accessed because it is not a static variable. My main method is a static method, and my name is not a static variable. We'll see them later. Okay, if you want to access an instance variable, if you want to access an instance variable inside the method and inside the main method, you have to create an object. Object id, and you have say id. Now you just go ahead and execute this program. Run as sorry run as Java application. Run as Java application. What is print? When I say when I accessed a behavior, what I'm trying to say here, I have created object, I'm trying to access my method. What my display method will do, it will just print a name and ID. And what other places I'm doing, I'm accessing my name and ID by using object. If you want to access the instance variable inside any method, inside the main method ideally. Any other method you can go ahead directly and you can use it here. You can go here, I can directly use it here. Because it is not a static method, it's a normal method. You can do like this. Because this display is not a static method, but our main method is a static method. Try to understand, guys. It is very simple. So it's like small thin layer is difference between the static and non-static. I'll clarify that what is a non-static and static. Now see, the initial it was a Hadoop and 100, and after printing that, I have changed it name to Java and ID to 10,000. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, and when I try to access that object, the values has been changed. Why the values has been changed? These are not local variables, these are global variables. If anyone change this value, it will get changed. If anyone change, the values will get changed, right? Clear, guys? I hope I have clarified what is an object. And this is the class. This is the class. How to create a class? You have to specify your class name, and you have to specify the class as a keyword and name of the class. And this is the accessibility. We'll talk about them more in details when accessibility come into picture. Class is the name, and class is the keyword and your class name. In that you should have your state and behavior. And why main method? Main method is the entry point to the main method is the entry point to your class. Okay, let's go ahead and talk what is a class. So class is a group of objects that has a common properties. Say if you go and see in my program, I have created obj1. Let's assume that it's my pen. It may pen. Let's say it's a pen object. But if I change here, I have to change here also. Let's assume for time being I can go ahead and change it. I can go ahead and rename it. There is a rename. Function F2 is for the renaming pen. Okay, and here you can say pen, and here also you can say pen, and pen name it is. You can say any name for the pen. You can name it for any name. The pen of the name Renault. Think R-E Renault. Think R-Y or R-Y. I think Renault R-Y Renault. And I can say color of the pen. You can say white. And later here is I can say some other. Can give cello. I can give ID something different. And you can change the color. Right? Like this. I have created one pen. Like this. I can go ahead and create multiple pens, right? I can go ahead and create multiple pens. I can go ahead and create multiple pens. But all these pen all these pens has the same common properties. If I take Renault or if I take Renault 1 or Renault 2, all has the name, all will be having ID, and all will be having color. It may be a different because here I have hard coded. It is for all of them. It is same, but properties are same. Name, ID, colors are same. Value may different. Value may different, right? When I say pen, the properties, we'll call this a properties also. Sometimes we call state, sometimes we call property, sometimes we call as a variables. So please try to remember them. My pen class has a name property, ID property, color property. It may be different. The name may be different for Renault pen. Name may be different for the Cello pen. The name may be different for some XYZ pen. But properties are common, like name, ID, color. Those are common. The value may change, right? That is what the class is trying to explain here. A class is a group of objects that has a common properties. It is a template or blueprint for which objects are created. I can say it is a template, or I can say it is a blueprint. Okay, what your class contains. Your class can have a data members. What are the data members? See, man, see, for these variables only we are defining different names. We are saying the state, we are saying the properties, we are saying variables, and we are saying data members. All are same. So all these names are for these guys only. Okay. Whatever, when you call a state, we're talking about this. When you call about the properties, we're talking about this. And when you call variables, we're talking about this only. When you say variable, it can be local variable or instance variable or a reference variable, or it can be static variable. And when you say data members, yes, these guys are the data members. All are same, and different terminology in different places will call. And method or behavior or a function, all are same. Method, function, or member function. You can call anything. It can be a behavior, it can be a method, it can be a function, it can be a member function. Okay, if someone is calling member function, you don't surprise. You say they're talking about method only. Someone is talking about function, you don't surprise, they're talking about behavior only. Okay, and it can have a constructor, and it can have a blocks, and it can have a class and interfaces. We'll see them. What is a block and what is a constructor and what is a interface and class. We'll see them in detail. Okay, the syntax of the class is looks like this. The class is a keyword and class name and your data member and methods. It will contains the data members and methods. If you go ahead and see my program, this is a class. You forget about public for time being. I'll explain in detail about this. This is my class as a keyword, and this is my name of the class. And I have a data members or properties or behaviors or states, or you can call it variables also. And I have a method. Collection of these two. I mean, this is also one kind of behavior only. The main method, even though it's a main method, it is giving an entry point. Even though this is one method, the combination of the collection of your data members and member functions is a class. Your class contains a data members and member functions. Okay, clear guys about class? It's a very simple. Your class, if you start writing now only, you start writing small examples, printing your name, printing your course name. You just try to read some values from the keyboard. When you start doing this kind of experiments, it will be easy and it will be easy to understand. Try to write a small method, and I'll explain more detail about the method, you don't worry. Okay, so this small example which I have taken here, which is explaining in detail, it is as I shown in the previous example, the same kind of example here. I have created ID and name, and my class name is student. I can have a multiple students. Here I say S1. I may have a I have taken student S1. I may have a student S2. I may have a student S3. I may have a student S4, and those guys names will be, I mean, properties will be same. Each and every student will have a ID and name, but the values may be different. Student X may have a name as X and ID can be different. Student S may have, and his name will be S and his ID will be something else. Okay, clear guys about the object and class. Okay, let's move to a naming convention. What is a naming convention? How the class name should looks, how the method name should looks, how the variable name method should look, variable name should look, package name and constant names. This slide explains you how the name should be look. It is just a convention. It is not a rule. If you don't follow this rule, this don't follow this convention, not a problem. It will work well and good. But it is just a convention. When you follow this, it looks clear and it looks good. Okay, all the class names should start with a capital letter. That's what I had telling, upper letter, and be a noun. It should be a noun. It's kind of a noun. Color, pen, button, system, thread, exception. Okay, list, hash set, tree set, map, tree map, hash map, linked hash map. These are the nouns. Okay, your class name should be always start with the capital letter. If it has a two words, it should be camel case. Let's assume that pen demo. When I say pen demo, two words are there. It should be a camel case. Clear, guys? And interface also should be the same as your class name, but it should be adjective. It should be adjective, like a runnable, remote, action listener, or like serializable, or random access, or clonable. So these are the interface names. We will see them in detail. And method name should start with a small letter. See here, should start with a small letter. And if it has multiple words, the second word should start with capital letter. The second word should start with a capital letter. Let's see one more example. Get name. What it is telling? Get name. Get me the name. And your get name, the first letter of get is start with a small letter, and the next letter is started with a capital letter. You might have seen this kind of methods in somewhere when you come across this kind of Java code. See, it looks like this. It is just a convention. It is not a mandatory. If you say I'll write all small, you can go ahead and write. I'll write a class name as a very small letter. I'll write a class name as small letters. You go ahead and write. I'll allow. It doesn't mean that it will not allow. It is just a convention. You'll say a method. I'll write like this. It'll allow. It doesn't say that it doesn't throw any error. But it is a convention. When you follow that, it looks good. If you see your methods like main method, print, or println, or action, when it has a two words, the second word should be the capital letter, and those should the method name should be a verb. Okay, and variable names and should start with a small letter, and if it has a multiple words, it should next word should next name should next word should start with a capital letter. And packages, yes, all should be a lowercase. Packages should not contain the no bigger letters. All should be in small letters. And when you say constants, constants will declare with the all capital letters. Constants will declare with the all the capital letters. Now try to look at what is a constructor. What is a constructor? It's very much important. Constructor is main important here in Java. What is a constructor? Let me keep it here. This was not clear. What is a constructor? If you remember in your C++ days, we have a constructor and destructor. What is the purpose of them? Creating a memory allocation. It's creating a memory. Constructor in Java is a special type of method that is used to initialize an object. But ideally, it is creating a memory for an object. We'll see them. So I'll show you an example for constructor demo. What is the constructor will do? The main purpose of the constructor is initialize an object. When you start creating, you initialize the object, and it will allocate some memory also. Let's go ahead and see one example. You will be very much clear about it. You will be very clear. Let me do this. I'm going to write one more example. Constructor demo. I need a main method. I'm going to comments. Constructor, there are some set of rules for the constructor. Let's assume, let me take instead of the constructor demo, let me take a person or student. Let me take a student. Let me rename to student. Someone has some doubt here. Guys, are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm creating a student. Now, the student will have some properties. String, stname, stname, and int stid, student id, and string can say DOB, date of birth. Okay, let's assume, and string, what is the class he is studying. Like, no, we cannot give a class because it is stdob stdob, and I can say standard or studying. Okay, these are the 4 properties. Okay, and the constructor, I'm going to create a constructor. The constructor should have a same name as a class name. The constructor should have a same name as a class name, and the constructor should not have a return type. The constructor should not have a return type. If you see here in the method, we have a return type void. If nothing is there, at least we are giving void, and the method name is different than our class name. But when it comes to the constructor, the name should be same as your class name and should not have a return type. Okay, and it can have a parameter constructor, it cannot have a parameter also. We will see the parameter and without parameter. String name, I can say int id, string dob, string what is studying. Okay, here stname equal to name. You might have seen sometime before this dot, right? Here it is not required because when we'll use this dot, this name and your class name, your class property and the constructor, inside the constructor whatever you're declaring, both are similar. Like I can say these are the actual parameters, the actual parameters, and our properties are similar name. That time only we'll use this. We'll see that example also in coming, st dot std id equal to id std, not std, it's st, and stdob equal to dob, and std equal to here std. Both are similar. When I say both are similar names, here std only, here also std. And when this is std and this is also std, it will get ambiguity, it will get confused. He's talking about whom? Whether here I'm talking about this guy or this guy. So these kind of cases will use this dot. When I say this dot, it will treat as this is the variable I'm talking. Okay. Now I'm going to create a student. Let's take some random names from our group. Bharat equal to new student. But here, while creating a student, I have to pass our names because the student should looks different, right? His name is Bharat, and his ID is, let's assume, 100, and his DOB is, I'm just taking some random, should be string. So let me say, don't mind guys, I'm just taking randomly, and maybe something I'm taking randomly, don't mind. And let's assume he's studying something, you can say BTech or something. I'm creating one more myself. Let's assume some different. It looks some different. What I've done here, we have created different kind of students. Then what is a constructor here? Then this is a constructor. This is a constructor. The constructor should looks constructor name should be similar as a class name, and it can be have a parameters. These are the called parameters. It can have a parameters, it cannot have a parameters. If it has a parameters, while you're creating an object, you have to pass this parameter. If let's say, if I say here, let's see, if I say here like this, if I say like this without passing a parameter, it will throw an exception. This constructor student is undefined. This class doesn't have this type of constructor. Either it should match with these arguments, string int, string string. If I didn't write a constructor, if I have a parameter constructor, if I didn't write a default constructor, without parameters constructor called a default constructor, with the parameter constructor is called as parameter constructor. Let's assume I'm just writing like this. It'll allow now. It'll allow. But how will I assign the values here? what you have to do, you have to hard code the values, because I'm not taking any values defaultly. Here I have to hard code, say Hadoop, I'm taking some random date. Okay, this is the way we'll create a constructor. There are two type of constructor. One is the default constructor. This is a default constructor, and this is a parameter constructor. Let's assume, if you take my previous example, I didn't create any constructor, I didn't take any constructor, but how the object has been created. The object, even though I'm using this kind of thing, but I didn't write the constructor in my class, but still I was able to access. If you didn't write any constructor explicitly in your code, if you didn't write any constructor explicitly in your code, our compiler will keep one constructor. Our compiler will keep one constructor. That constructor is called a default constructor. That constructor, what type of constructor our compiler will keep? The default type constructor it will keep. And here also I have a default constructor, and also I have a parameter constructor. I can create object two different ways, by passing the where with parameter constructor and without parameter constructor. Clear guys? And to print the values, let me override a small method. You don't worry about that method now, and I'll show you the more detail about method later point of time. Now I just want to print all the students in this console. What I have to print? Dot to string. I'll show you the difference with this method, without this method I'll show you. Save this. You can make it big like this. When you double click on it, it will become a big screen, maximize. When you double click again on it, it will become a small screen, I mean minimize. Okay, now I'm just going to run this program. Just see, and it is printed a Bharat and the student object. It is a student type object, and here the name, and here the his ID. This is his DOB, and this is the value. The same way for others, right? Clear guys how to create object, what is a constructor? And you might have find the difference between the constructor and method. In method, the method name and the class name can be same, but the method should have at least a return type called void. If you don't have any return type, at least we should keep void. The method should have a return type, our constructor should not have a return type, and the class name should be similar as our constructor name. Our constructor name should be similar as our class name. Now let's see, if I don't have this method, if I don't have this method, what will happen? Try to print. It is printing something. We didn't understand that. What is this? We're not able to understand what is it printing. So what our toString method is doing, it's converting It's converting our, see, when you print Bharat or when you print object, you cannot print your object directly. You cannot print your object directly into the console because it will never understand what is that. We have to explicitly say that, okay, when I print it, it is a student, and when I print that guy, you take a first variable and you print the first variable as a name, and you print the second variable, you print the third variable, and you print the fourth variable, and so on. The to string, we are converting our object into string. We are converting our object into a string. We are telling to the compiler while printing it, you print it in this way. If you want, you can change the order. If you want, you can go ahead and change the order. If you want to remove this, you can go ahead and remove it. This toString method will, what it will do, it will print your object, or it will your it will return a string representation of your object. What it will do, it will convert your object into string and will print in the console. Because your print method will understand only a it will not understand the objects, it will understand only the string or primitive type of data, right? Object type of data it will not understand your print method. So that is the reason we have to convert it to a string, and we are returning a string. See here, what we are doing, we are converting our complete object into a string and we are returning string, and here it will become as a string and it will display the value. Clear, guys? Any doubt? Practice this kind of programs. If you try 2 3 programs like this, it's a very simple program, nothing, there is no big logic here, there is nothing, no big thing to remember or something. You just take some variables and declare on constructor, and you just try to print them. Okay, let's go with, yeah, as I said, the constructor name must be same as its class name. Constructor must not have explicit return type, it should not have any return type. And there are two type of constructor. One is a default constructor which will not contain any arguments. Other one is a parameterized constructor which will be having a arguments. And method, we have seen what is a method. We have seen what is a method. The method name can be your class name, but it should have a return type, at least void. At least void. If you didn't write any method return type without override of toString, you can print it. You can print the object, Chandu, but you cannot understand that. It will print a class name at the rate, and it will print some hash code that we cannot understand that. To print proper, see, we never print the objects. This is an example I want to show you. I'm explicitly showing you, right? We never print the objects in the console. Sometimes we print in the logs. It depends on the our requirement. In the logs we will print. The console will never print. Or for testing or something you are doing, doing some experiments, that time we will use. But when you want to print your object into console, or when you want to print your object into logs, you have to override toString method. You have to override toString method. Guys, it may interview question, what is the purpose of the toString? It may be a interview question, what is the purpose of the toString? Or you will say that I have a pen object, I want to print in the console, how will I print? Okay, Chandu, is your doubt is clear? Without overriding toString method, we cannot print the object in the console or in the logs. If you want to print your object in the console or log, you should override. You should override the toString method in your class, and you can define it. While printing your object, you don't want to print the DOB, you can remove from here. You don't want to print STD, you can remove from here. You can customize it. This is generated with the system code. I didn't write it, no. What I have done, I have right clicked on the class, whichever the class I want to print, go to source. In the source, you can select the toString method. You can select the toString, generate toString method. It is generated by your compiler, your editor, your tool, your Eclipse tool is generated this. And like that only you can generate setters, getters. We'll see all this in the detail a little bit. Okay. Even the constructor also you can create. You don't need to write a constructor. Your constructor automatically will get create automatically. Shall we see how it will get create? Just keep a cursor where you want to. Keep constructor, right click, source, go ahead and select the constructor using fields. And what are the fields you want in the constructor? These four fields I want. And I want comments also. Just go ahead and say okay. What happened? It is printed. It is printed. See, it is code is generated. But here I have written this much code and same code has been written here. And if you see the names of the parameter name and these names are both are similar. And one more thing, we cannot have a constructor overloading. I mean, we can have a constructor overloading in this. It means that you can have a instead of here you can have some different type of variable. But when it you cannot have a same constructor as similar as same constructor. You not constructor overloading is possible. I have used the wrong statement. Constructor overloading is possible, but the same constructor two times. Even method also same, right? We cannot write the same method twice. Okay. If you want to remove, you can remove this, or if you want to remove, you can remove this. Whatever you wish, you can remove. And if you want to generate the comments, go ahead, source, add comment block. It will add the comments. Clear, guys? This is very simple example. You guys try it. Try 2-3 examples. Then you will feel Java. You're comfortable with the Java. If you didn't try the examples, you'll all. It will become a. It looks like a devil to you. Something else. It looks like something scary. And when it comes to the method, your method name can be as similar as your class name, and but it should have a return type. What is the return type? Whoever is calling this method, they will get some value. Whoever is calling this method, they will get some value. Let's see here. Look at the toString method. It is returning string, and to where it is string returning to here. From we are calling from here. The from line 56, we are calling toString method. When we call toString method, what is happening? It is returning a string. What is the string? This is the string. This is the string from here. This is the string it is returning. Return type is nothing but whoever calls me, I'm a method. Whoever's called me, I'll give this to him. This type of value. It's not like this. This type of value I'll give to them. So that is the return type. Now you guys are able to understand what is the difference between the constructor and method. And also one more thing I want to clarify here. As I said, I can have a method like as my class name. It will allow. But if you remove this, it will treat as a constructor. If you keep this, it will treat as a method. The return type is the make difference here. Okay. Okay, this is called constructor overloading. And before going to the constructor overloading, we'll see the method overloading. Then I will explain what is the constructor overloading. Guys, these are the basics. These are the fundamentals. If you understand these fundamentals, we will look into next advanced topics. Oops, directly we'll jump into the oops. What is abstraction? What is inheritance? What is interface? Those things we'll look at. So I'll be giving, as I said, guys, this is not a full-time Java course, so we cannot spend more time on Java. If you start spending more time on Java, only core Java will take more than 35-45 classes. Okay, what we are trying to look here, what are the more important? I'll give the introduction, I'll give the detailed introduction. After that, we will jump into the concepts which will help for the MapReduce. In the MapReduce, when you're using the MapReduce code, you should understand what is a map. What is a map method? First of all, what you should understand what is a method and who will call that method. We should understand that. Next, when you say class, we should understand what is a class. And when you say extend or inheritance, we should understand that relation and how to call those methods and what is the interfaces we are using. What is the overriding and overloading? So these kind of concepts we'll go and look at them. So not like you don't expect the complete course in this span of 7 classes or 6 classes. I'll give the brief introduction to this detail. I mean, this method, class, object, exceptions, collections, and you guys need to put more efforts compared to Hadoop course, because Hadoop course anyway I'll be teaching in detailedly, but when it comes to Java, I'll be giving the introduction. You guys need to put more effort. So you guys has to do more R&D. I'll be giving the exercises as well. Tomorrow I'll give some exercises. I'll send one document for everyone. You guys practice those exercises. I'll send now only. I'll add into the drive. You guys practice those examples. Then you'll get familiar with the Java. Clear, guys? Thank you. I would like to end the session now. Uh, we will continue tomorrow. If you get, anyone has any doubt, stay back and others can leave for the day. Thank you, guys. Yes, I'll upload the recording. Jay, you want to ask something?